Welcome to Beer Untapped with Perry Miller, the podcast. I'm joined by Seth.
Hey, welcome, guys. Thanks for finding us on the internet.
Now, these shows originally aired on Brookings Radio, but now they're all here for your enjoyment. I hope you like it.
There you go. Sit back, enjoy the show, relax. Let us know if you want to see anything on future shows. As we said, this comes out live in the Brookings area, but enjoy this archive episode.
Beer Untapped with Perry Miller. Welcome to Beer Untapped with Perry Miller. St. Patrick's Day is rapidly approaching, and as we were looking ahead, I discovered an oversight. We'd never done a show on Irish beers. Well, that is about to change. Seth Cook at Woodmakes Brewing in Brookings and I sat down, talked Irish beer. You have to begin with that best known of all Irish beers, the one you probably think of immediately, Guinness.
I feel a bit of shame that we haven't even covered this. How many shows have we done? Like 200 shows?
133, I think this will be.
Okay, we'll round up 200 shows. Because, as the Irish said, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. The one beer that you're talking about is Guinness. You know, that's probably such the most widely known one. Probably the number one export of Ireland.
Actually, no, it's not. Number one is pharmaceuticals. I'm not sure where Guinness would rank, but it's not even in the top 10. Still, of course, it is an iconic beer.
Guinness is brewed, has been brewed at St. James Gate for a long, long time. They historically sold, I think they signed a 1,000-year lease on the property, and it's encased in a piece of glass underneath the floor. St. James Gate you can find in Dublin itself. A fun thing about Guinness is not just brewed at St. James Gate. Guinness, of course, is a huge company, and it's brewed all over, and they do regional variants of Guinness. So South American Guinness, South African Guinness. The Guinness mostly drank in the United States is actually brewed in the United States with a couple of exceptions. I've actually went to a couple pubs that insist on importing Irish Guinness. The one that I know of that's the closest to here is out in Chicago, and they sell more Guinness than any other bar outside of Boston. Fido's is the name of the place. Really cool place. Pretty good food, really good people. So Fido's Irish Pub.
Guinness started brewing in 1759.
Guinness is considered a stout porter, if you were to actually go back into the books. Of course, the porter is being popularized in England just across the strait there, and then the Irish took it and they popularized, or they really enjoyed this stout porter. What makes the Irish stout porter a little bit different, and what makes Guinness so definitive, and about any Irish stout you'll try, not just Guinness, is their insistence on using roasted barley. So, of course, we use roasted malts all the time, but roasted barley has not gone through the malting process. It is just barley that's roasted off.
Non-germinated barley.
So you get absolutely zero fermentable sugars out of it.
But you get flavor.
But you get a lot of roast flavor, a lot of those dark roast flavors, some chocolate flavors, coffee notes, those types of things. So our beers here, though, when we make stouts, we use roast barley as well. For anybody who's doing homebrewing, use that with an editing hand. That goes a long ways in those beers.
Seth says the water has a lot to do with Irish beer.
Irish styles, by tradition, are usually ales, and they're usually of a hard water style. So the River Liffey and all the other places, high calcium, high carbonates, all of those things.
And that can be a good thing in brewing beer.
Right, and it is a good thing. It's not a terribly good thing when you're brewing pilsners, but they weren't trying to make pilsners. They were making stouts, or maybe as the story goes, the water there just pushed them towards the stout.
More on Irish beers when Beer Untapped continues.
Have a Guinness every day. Have a Guinness anyway. Have a Guinness every day.
Welcome back to Beer Untapped with Perry Miller as we talk Irish beers, and we'll have a bit on St. Patrick's Day as well. When talking Irish beers, the conversation, of course, will be dominated by Guinness, but there are other Irish beers. Earlier, Seth talked about the use of roast barley in Guinness and other Irish stouts. It's also key in another iconic Irish style.
Roast barley is probably fun to talk about because if you add it in a very small portion, it'll take a beer and tint it red as opposed to the dark black. So some of the other popular beers are like an Irish Red. Those also have roast barley in them, but a much lower. Think of it as a pale ale that uses roast barley as a hue. So that roast barley gives a very, very, very faint either coffee or dark roasted flavor to the Irish Reds.
Underneath,
but it's the color that really brings that rich red color. Roast barley. The rumor is that it was part of the Irish desire to circumnavigate taxes imposed by other countries. The country will remain nameless. I think we can all figure out who that one is. What the rumor is that in order to circumnavigate the tax on on malted barley, they said, well, we'll just add straight roasted barley into it, and then we don't even have to pay the Queen's. We let the cat out of the bag. We'll have to pay the Queen's tax by paying the malt tax on it. So I don't know how much truth there is to that. There probably is some.
Another key aspect to Irish beers, they're usually pretty easy drinking. Seth took a trip to Ireland before opening Wooden Legs to talk beers and pubs.
Talk to the locals there and the pub owners there, and they said the Irish beers need to be lower in alcohol. So I mean, they're not really heavy alcohol beers. They're very sessionable. They said you can never trust a beer you can see through. They just don't trust it. And they said they have to get better as they warm up. So that's where a lot of these deep flavors come from. And all of that is just because that's part of the pub culture. But usually when you go to Ireland and out for beers, you go out for beers and community and conversation, and you usually have a couple beers with people, and they're not of high strength because the night is long.
Of course, St. Patrick's Day is the 17th, and the next day, one of the favorite events of the year at Wooden Legs, the Irish breakfast.
And when we went to Ireland, my buddy Steve and I, we had this probably more than we should have. It is just a protein-ridden platter. It has black pudding, white pudding, bangers, rashers, eggs, beans, mushrooms, tomatoes, soda bread, and I probably even have missed something that we're going to throw on there. Lots of butter. But it's going to be served on, it's always served the Saturday after St. Paddy's Day, so I think that is going to be the 18th this year. We're doing some pre-ticket sales down at the pub, so you don't have to have a pre-ticket sale to show up, but tradition has kind of shown us that if you grab a pre-ticket sale, you get an hour early access. The doors open at 8 for ticket holders, and then it's general public at 9.
And you can just move through quick.
You just move through quick, and then that's what happens. It's a little easier to find a seat. So everybody's welcome, but there's only so many seats we have, and if you're one of the people that pre-purchase a ticket, you can show up a little earlier and make sure you get a seat. And again, there's nothing wrong with coming at 9, but and to be honest, there may be a line.
Money goes fast.
That's it for now. Until next time, drink local and drink responsibly. Thank you for listening to this archived edition of Beer Untapped with Perry Miller. Feel free to listen to other episodes, and if there's anything you'd like us to talk about on a future show, please let us know. Thanks again.